wasn't sure when you were going to stop. I appreciate it, and I want to thank many of you for coming here this morning, Gary and Robert as well. You know, many of you know me, and you know how committed I am and how committed my staff is, and you talk to any one of them in the room, and we are wholeheartedly committed to safety. But you should look around the room as well, not only at yourselves, but you have leaders that are probably sitting right next to you, and they are as committed as we are. Because together we know that we need to make construction sites safer. I'll just give you some ideas about how committed we all are. The council has actually passed 20 bills in the last 2 years regarding construction safety. The goal here to raise the level playing field. Many of you already do this on your jobs today, but as Lou indicated earlier, is to make sure that everyone's doing it, not just the good guys. And I have to tell you that we are seeing some significant change. We have seen a reduction in fatalities. You'll see that in the report card later, from 19 at this time last year to 3 at this year. And no one wants, and we'll talk specifically about the 3 people who have lost their lives this year, but we are making headway. And yes, there has been a construction slowdown, but I can tell you that it's not just because of that. And the reason I know that is that more things are being reported to this agency than ever before. And we all know that the near misses, the things that fall off a construction site and bounce on the pavement or on a cab versus on a person, can be significant. And we all know that we pray every day that that does not happen. But you're going to see today how we're taking charge of that and how we're moving forward, and it's very exciting stuff. You know, you've heard me talk about this before, about raising standards across the board. And it's not just outside looking at you, but it's also looking at ourselves and what we do. But it's also about being more accountable. We've gone forward and put it on GPS on every one of our inspectors because we want to ensure that when we go out there, that we actually do the job we say we're going to do. We're also working with our law enforcement partners, holding industry professionals accountable. This year alone, 2 engineers have been indicted for falsifying reports for concrete testing, striking at the heart of what every New Yorker takes for granted, which is the structural integrity of the concrete that builds our beautiful buildings. For the first time, those New Yorkers started to question what's going on in our industry. And many of you realize that we have to take a stand. The department has actually created a special concrete unit to oversee and look at and be able to take samples of concrete to make sure that what people give us on paper is actually happening in the field. But you know, many of you manage to these standards today. You don't take it for granted. You are on top of the test results. You are watching. But we need to, again, make sure that everyone's doing it, not just a few. 1 week today is one example of how things are going to change. All of you have probably some of you actually have gotten a personal email from me about wanting to know why you haven't registered for your safety control number. 1 week today, you will need that number in order to get a permit for a new building, a significant alteration, demolition, or concrete work. And that is very important so that we can track contractors across job sites, not just by the job site. You've heard me talk about how we know about perhaps the larger players in the industry, but we don't know the smaller ones because they change their name and they go unregistered. So we're going to be able to do that. So let's talk about something that you do want to watch for. It's the Stalled Sites Law that just came into effect. This does something for you for taking safety seriously. As you know, the department now has been able to identify over 500 sites that are stalled. And what we're asking for is we're asking for a plan on how to make sure that those sites stay safe. Because as all you well know, that if you're not on the job site every day, things deteriorate, conditions change. And we want to make sure that the safety of all New Yorkers is put at paramount, is at the top of your list. Now, if you do that, you get a benefit too. You and your owner or developer also get the ability to go ahead and renew that permit for up to 4 years. And what does that do for you? You, as well as I know, having a permit in hand, being able to develop when the financing comes through, is a lot easier sale with a bank or an investor than not having a permit. You say, well, I'll just renew the permit. Well, it doesn't work that way. Also at this time, we've got this issue about the 2008 code versus the 1968 code. Actually changes some of the rules. You might actually have to redesign the building. You might actually have to do something different, which would mean you need to refile, come back and see me, and go ahead and pay for the permits all again. What we want to do is we want to make sure people get back to work as quickly as possible. You hold up your end of the bargain, you make those job sites safe, you watch them over the next year or so until you're ready, you can continue to renew those permits. You don't need to do a redesign. All you basically need to do is pick up the phone and tell me you're going back to work. Because that's what we need to have happen to get a recovery and to have a recovery quickly. You know, everyone will win then, because the contractor gets to go back to work, workers go back on the job site, and the community, even though they might hate your building, they actually would rather see it built than to be left there half empty for another 2 years while the banks figure out what to do with it. And of course, you know, we're always looking forward. And I have to tell you, I'm very proud that we have a group of people that are going to talk about how they're innovating today, how they're protecting workers, New Yorkers on the job, and actually also protecting their owners and developers. By putting up these cocoon systems, cocoons basically protecting the top 3 floors of an active construction site, will significantly change how they do the business, but also increase the level of safety to unprecedented levels. You know, all around the world, this is sort of standard practice for many large, complex urban environments. There's no reason why we can't do this here. But of course, everything you have to figure it out, and you have to figure out how it works here, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. And you'll hear from some of the people today about the differences of what they needed to do to make it work here. But it's very exciting. We have a very exciting panel that's going to be led by Gus Sarakas. We're going to talk about the success. And they'll actually give you some statistics. We've looked at one site versus the other, and not to steal their thunder, but I can tell you that it's a resounding win for all of the parties involved. So yes, I do think we're making huge progress for every New Yorker, whether you're a guy on the job site as a worker, you're walking by with a baby in your hand, or if you're an owner or developer. And I'm very, very much looking forward to the rest of the day. Thanks so much.